Hello, welcome to our YouTube channel. My name is Mercy Onyancha, and today we're going to make this corner to corner join as you go blanket. The design is not mine. The designer is Kelly Martino. She goes by that name on Facebook, Kelly Martino, and on Instagram she goes by the handle MS Pedrix. So this is the handle, MS Pedrix. You can find her on Instagram. So this is what you need for this blanket. It will be a 5x6 blanket, and these are the requirements. I'm going to use Winter King. Winter King is a Kenyan brand. It's 100% acrylic, and this ball is 50 grams. It's a 50-gram ball, and I'm going to use these three different colors. Now you will need 25 of these balls of the green color to make the 5x6 foot size blanket. So 25 of this, that is 1250 grams. You will need 15 pieces of this, which is 750 grams, and 5 of this, which is 250 grams. So 45 by 50, you can do the math. That is the number of grams you need, and you're not restricted to the colors, so choose whichever colors that you'd like to use, and let's crochet together. Now, before we get into actual crocheting, there are three things that you need to know. Number one, you need to know how to make a corner-to-corner pattern. The basic making of a corner-to-corner pattern, C2C. And then another thing, number two, you need to know is how to make a rectangle out of the pattern. I know we are used to the squares, but this pattern will require you to make rectangles at some point and squares at other points. So you need to know how to make a rectangle. And then lastly, you need to make a swatch so that you identify your tension. Because for me, I loosely crochet, and Kelly is a tight crocheter, so the sizes that we have for the blankets are totally different. So make a swatch and know how big your blanket will be. But for mine, because I'm a loose crocheter, it's slightly bigger than 5x6, but I call it a 5x6 blanket. We are getting into the theory part before we start crocheting, and this is the graph we are going to use. As I said, the designer is MS Pedrix in Instagram. She has amazing designs of these different blanket patterns. So visit her and you will get different varieties of these blankets. So this is how your blanket, it's an overview of how your blanket should look. And I'm going to name the colors here. So my green color will be the dominant color. It is this navy blue in this piece of paper, so it will be color A. The gray part here, I'm going to use color B, which will be color maroon, and then the white part, I'm going to use color white, so it will be my color C. Now, before we crochet, I don't know if you can see the smaller squares in these rectangles, in these bigger colors, but if you're not able to see, I'm going to pin a photo. You can pause and then zoom in. You will be able to see the smaller squares that will determine the number of clusters you will do lengthwise and widthwise. So this is what we have, and this is the pattern we are going to use as we crochet. Let me use a fresh page. Now this is what you will do. We will make this rectangle here. It's a rectangle. It has 12 clusters this side and 8 clusters up from this point up to this point. So we have 12 and 8. So it's a rectangle. We are going to make this first. So I will do it number 1, and then we will work the gray part here, and then the third part we will work is this other gray part, and then the white part. For number 5, we will work this strip from here up to this part. And then number 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and then 12 will be this strip up to this part. So this is the arrangement on how we are going to work these squares and rectangles. Then we will work number 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, and 18. So number 19 will be this strip here. 20, 21, 22, 23. And then for number 24, this is what we will work. We will work this strip here. And remember, for corner to corner, we always work from right through to the left. So we will work this strip from this point all the way to this other side as our number 24. I hope you're seeing the pattern, how it's coming up. And then we will work number 25 here, 26, and then 27, 28, 29, 30, and then 31 will be this strip up to this part. 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, and then 41 will be this part up to this point. So I think up to this point you can guess on how the pattern will flow. We are doing exactly the same thing. So you go to 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50, 51 here, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56, 57, and then 58 will be this strip. And then you repeat up to the end of this pattern. So that is how we are going to work this pattern. Now, before we get into actual crocheting, these are 12, as we said, 12 smaller squares here and 8 small squares up. So we will work 12 clusters and 8 clusters on this side. Now, because you're done with the theory, now we are into the actual crocheting. You will begin with color A, and my color A, as I said, is the green color. So I'm going to use a 4mm crocheting hook. This is for weaving in the ends, and then we will need scissors to cut off the end yarns. Now make a slip knot, and then make a chain of 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Into the 4th chain from your hook, work a double crochet. So you yarn over, and then 1, 2, 3. Into the 4th, work a double crochet. So through 2. Yarn over. Into the next 2 chains, work double crochets. Pull through these 2 and then the last 2. And then a double crochet into this last chain. So you have a chain 3 and 3 double crochets. So this makes it a square. This is the first cluster that we have. Now we are done with row 1. For row 2, you will chain 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Yarn over and work a double crochet into the 4th chain from your hook. So skip 1, 2, 3, and then into the 4th, work a double crochet. Into the next 2, work double crochets. So this is what you should have. Into this space here, from the previous row that we had worked, this one cluster, skip the 3 double crochets, and between this, the space between the double crochets and the chain 3, you work a slip stitch. And then you chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and work 3 double crochets into this space. So 1, 2, and then 3. So row number 2 is done. It has 2 clusters. So for row 3, you chain 6 again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, and then work a double crochet into the 4th chain, and the next 2 chains, double crochet and a double crochet, then slip stitch between these double crochets and the chain 3 from the previous row. Chain 3, 1 2 3, and make 3 double crochets. So 1 2 and 3. Slip stitch into this space here, chain 3, and then make 3 double crochets. So 1 2 and 3. So we are done with row number 3. I think you can note that every row increases, makes a 1 increase of a cluster. So row 1 had 1, row 2 had 2, row 3 has 3. So we are going to work up to 8 rows. So you will have 8, and then you will be back. Okay, so we have done 8 rows, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 and 8. You can confirm with the clusters here, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 and 8. So we have done 8 rows, but this is the wrong side, so we will turn it like this. So 8 and 8, but we want to make a rectangle, so we will have 8 and 12. Let me show you what I'm talking about. So this is it. We said earlier that we have 12 small squares here, from this point to this point, 12 small squares which are equal to 12 clusters, and then we have 8 small squares, so that is 8 clusters. Now we are going to make this rectangle, and then for this next, the maroon color, we are going to use this gray part here. There are 4 clusters, so let's keep that in mind. Now let me show you how we will make the clusters. We've already done the 8 here. Now we want to maintain this 8 but work 12 on this side. Now this is what you do. I usually chain 1 2 and then 3 instead of making slip stitches all the way. So chain 3 and then work a slip stitch into this space here between the 3 double crochets and this chain space. So slip stitch, then chain 3, 1 2 3, and work 3 double crochets, 1 2 3. Slip stitch into this space, chain 3, and work 3 double crochets. Now do this up to this part. Now we are here. You slip stitch into this space, chain 3, and work 3 double crochets. Chain 6, 1 2 3 4 5 6, and then into the 4th chain from your hook, work a double crochet, and then 2 more double crochets into the next 2 chains. Slip stitch here, chain 3, work 3 double crochets, 1 2 and 3, slip stitch, and continue with this pattern up to this part. Now we are here. You slip stitch into this space. We are not adding another cluster because we already did 8. Remember this row, this side? Yes. So we are going to chain 3, 1 2 3, turn your work, and then slip stitch into this space here. Slip stitch into this. So this is what we have. Chain 3, work 3 double crochets, 1, 2, and then 3. Slip stitch into this cluster here, chain 3, work 3 double crochets, 2, and then 3. Now work this up to the end of this part here. Slip stitch, chain 3, work 3 double crochets, 1, 2, and 3. So let's confirm the number of rows we have worked this side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. So we are going to do the final one, the 12th. So you chain 6, 4, 5, 6, and into the 4th from your hook, and into the next 2 chains you work double crochets. Slip stitch into this space here, chain 3, and work 3 double crochets, 2 and 3. Do this up to the end, up to this part here. So I've done this last cluster here. I will slip stitch, chain 3, turn my work, and then slip stitch into this part here. Now we've done 12 here and 8 here. So we will now be working the decrease part, both sides. We had started decreasing 4 rows ago, this side. Now we will start a decrease on this side also. So chain 3, work 3 double crochets, 2, and then 3. Work this up to this cluster. So we are doing decreases. So I will slip stitch here, chain 3, turn my work, and then I will slip stitch between these spaces. Chain 3, 3 double crochets, 2 and 3. So work this to this part and make decreases until you have a rectangle of 8 and 12. So this is the final cluster. Slip stitch into this part, chain 3, turn your work, and then slip stitch here, and then cut off the yarn. This is our rectangle. We are done with part 1. We said this is 1, and we are now going to part 2. So part 1 is done. We are going to part 2, and we need 4 clusters here and attached to the 12 clusters. We said this pattern is C2C, join as you go. So we are going to join, attach your yarn here, chain 6, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, yarn over, work on the 4th chain from your hook here, a double crochet, and then 2 more double crochets into the next 2 chains, 2, and then make a slip stitch into this space between these 2 clusters. So after you've slip stitched, you chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and slip stitch into the next space between the next 2 clusters here. Make a slip stitch, then work 3 chains, turn your work, and work 3 double crochets into this chain 3 that you had worked. So 1, 2, and then 3. Slip stitch into this space here, chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and work 3 more double crochets, 1, 2, and 3. So our row 2 is done. We're going to row 3. You chain 6, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, and into the 4th chain and the next 2 chains you work double crochets, 2, and the final double crochet. Turn your work, slip stitch here, chain 3, work 3 double crochets, 1, 2 and 3, slip stitch into this cluster, chain 3, work 3 double crochets, 1, 2 and 3, and then slip stitch into this space between this cluster and this other cluster here, chain 3, and make another slip stitch into the next space between the clusters. So we are attaching our square, this part, this rectangle here, the maroon part, we are attaching it onto this green part. So you chain 3, 1, 2, 3, turn your work, double crochet 3 into this, so 1, 2 and 3, slip stitch, chain 3, work 3 double crochets, 2 and 3, slip stitch, chain 3, work 3 double crochets. This is our 4th row with the maroon color, our color B, chain 3 and work the final cluster here, 2 and 3. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4 rows, the clusters that we needed for our this side of our project. So chain 3 and then turn your work and slip stitch here, chain 3 and double crochet 3 into the space, slip stitch, chain 3 and 3 double crochets, 1, 2 and 3, slip stitch, chain 3 and 3 double crochets, 1, 2 and 3, slip stitch, chain 3 and 3 double crochets, 2 and 3. So attach it to here, slip stitch between these two clusters, chain 3 and slip stitch into the next space between the two clusters, chain 3, turn your work and work 3 double crochets, 2 and then 3. I'm going a little bit faster because it's a repetition. Now what we will do is we will make the decreases here as we attach on this side. Let me show you one last row, this one, what I am talking about, because after this it will be a little bit more faster. So 3 double crochets, 2 and 3, slip stitch, chain 3, 3 double crochets, 2 and 3, slip stitch, ignore the background noise, 2 and then 3 double crochets, 2 and 3. So you slip stitch here, you chain 3 and then you turn your work. We are not adding another cluster upwards. So this is what you will have. We are doing the decreases here as we attach on this other side. So do this up to the end. So this is the final cluster, slip stitch, chain 3 and slip stitch on this side, chain 1 and then fasten off and cut your yarn. So this maroon part is done, the number 2. So we are going to 3, then 4 and then 5. Yeah, so that is the order of which we are working these colors. Now there is another thing I want you to note, the small squares here. These are 4, these ones are 2, these ones are 4, and then these ones are 20. Then we have 4, 2, 4, 20. 4, 2, 4, 12. So these are the number of clusters you're working on this side. Now we are working with maroon. We are at color number 3. This is where we are now. So place your work like this. We say this is the right side. This is the 8 clusters we worked, the 4, and these are the 12 the 12 clusters that we worked. Now the maroon is supposed to run from this point to this point. Attach your yarn here and be keen, because sometimes you can attach and then find yourself working on this side. So attach and then keenly follow on how to ensure that you're working on this other side. Chain 6, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. Into the 4th chain, work a double crochet and into the next 2. So you have a total of 3 double crochets. So we said we are working this side, this is how it should be, and not this other side. It's very easy to find yourself attaching it and working on this other side. So after you are done with this cluster, you will turn your work like this and then slip stitch between these 2 clusters here. Chain 3 and then slip stitch between these next 2 clusters. Chain 3 and turn your work. So now you're sure you're working on this side. Work 3 double crochets. 1, 2 and 3. Slip stitch here, chain 3 and 3 double crochets. Chain 6. Work 3 double crochets in the next 3 last 3 chains from your hook. Turn your work, slip stitch here, chain 3 and 3 more double crochets. It is very repetitive, very repetitive, but be patient. 2 and 3. So row 3 is done. Attach it here, chain 3, slip stitch into the next space between the clusters, chain 3 and work the final row. When you get to this part, we will start decreasing. So we've worked 1, 2, 3, 4. So we're going to make a decrease. Chain 3, turn your work and then slip stitch into this space. Chain 3 and 3 double crochets into the same space. Slip stitch into the next space. Now this is what you will have. That is how it's decreasing. Let me put it the right side facing up. So we are going to make a decrease this way and then work up to this part. So rectangle 3 is done. Now we're going to do this square. It's a 4 by 4 of the white color, 4 clusters by 4 clusters. Now this is the last piece I'm going to show you, the last color, because for this one you have to attach on both sides, so it's a little bit complicated. This is what you do. Join your yarn here. You chain 1, 2, 3 and then you slip stitch here, chain 3 and turn your work. Work 3 double crochets here, 1, 2 and 3, and then slip stitch into this other side here, chain 3, 1, 2, 3, slip stitch between these 2 other clusters, chain 3, turn your work and then work 3 double crochets into this chain 3, 2 and 3, slip stitch here, chain 3, 3 double crochets, 2 and 3, slip stitch between these next 2 clusters, chain 3 and slip stitch into these other clusters here. Chain 3, turn your work 3 double crochets into the chain 3, slip stitch into the next chain 3 and work 3 double crochets, 2 and 3, slip stitch here, chain 3 and 3 double crochets. So we are at row 3. Slip stitch between these next 2 clusters, chain 3 and then slip stitch here, chain 3, turn your work. We are on the final row, work 3 double crochets, 2, 3, slip stitch, chain 3, 3 double crochets, slip stitch, chain 3 and then 3 double crochets, 2 and 3, slip stitch, chain 3 and 3 double crochets. So this is the final cluster here, slip stitch into this final space, chain 3 and our decrease now begins. Turn your work and slip stitch here, chain 3, work 3 double crochets, 1, 2 and 3, slip stitch, chain 3, 3 double crochets, 1, 2 and 3, slip stitch again, chain 3 and 3 double crochets. This other end we are also making a decrease, slip stitch here, chain 3, 2, 3, turn your work and then slip stitch. So make the decreases. Now this is what I did. I made this strip here. It is 2 clusters, 1 and 2, and then you attach it all along up to this point and then you make a decrease and finish off. So this is a sample of what the project is going to look like. You're joining as you go. You join as you go. Now this is what you have. This is the graph that we are working with. So we did this, and number 4 we did, and we have done this rectangle here, the 2 clusters. We have done it. Now you're going to go to number 6. You work this one first, then work number 7, then 8, 9, 10, 11, and then 12, this strip. 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, and then you work 19 here, 20, 21, 22, and 23. This is the order in which you're going to work them, and then 24. Remember, you are working from the right to the left, so you will work number 24 here. This will be from this point to the end of the width of the blanket that you're working on. So that is what we will do. Now in matter of clusters, this color has 2 clusters. Then this one has 4 clusters. We have 20, 4, 2, 4, 20, 4, 2, 4, 20, 4, 2, 4, and 8. So these are the number of clusters you're working on the length and on this other side. Now about the finishing, I'm going to leave a link in the description box below. It is a link that will show you on how to make the foundational base of this blanket before you do the finishing that you want. I know everyone has a preference of their blanket finishings. That is important, but for corner to corner, before you do any finishings that you need, there is a foundational finishing that is done. It is just one round to bring these chains and different clusters together for the ease of you to work on whichever finishing that you want to do. Because I had done the blanket earlier, I'm not going to demonstrate on everything that is going to happen, but from the link you will watch through and then you make a foundational foundational finishing before you work on the finishing that you want to work on. So thank you so much for watching our video. I hope it was very helpful, and during this festive season you can make one and share with the people, the needy people in your society, or even gift it to your friends. When you're done making whichever colors that you will make for this blanket, please share the photos and tag us. On Facebook we go by the name Give Me Life Africa. We have a page and a group, so you can share the photos on either of the platforms. And in Instagram we go by the handle at Give Me Life Africa _. So share your photos, tag us, so that you can see the progress that you're making. Thank you so much, and bye bye. Let's keep learning together.